New candidates are launching campaigns in Texas this week, and some of them are running in congressional districts recently redrawn by Texas Republicans. Now, a poll is shedding light on how some voters feel about those controversial changes. Joining us this afternoon to talk through those results is Joshua Blank with the Texas Politics Project at UT Austin. Josh, welcome back and thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So you polled a group of 1,200 registered Texas voters at the end of last month. So how did they feel about the redistricting that has really taken up so much conversation in the last couple of months?
Well, not surprisingly, it depends on which party they belong to. Overall, 41% of Texans, a plurality, disapproved of the efforts to redraw Texas's congressional districts, while 34% approved. But importantly, a quarter of Texans really had no opinion about this as this was going on during the summer months. And it's actually a relatively complicated issue for most people. But importantly, 65% of Republicans, nearly two-thirds, approved of these efforts. 78% of Democrats disapproved. And so what we saw was somewhat partisan, results driven by partisanship.
And ultimately, we saw these enacted during the second special legislative session. There was a lengthy list of agenda items for lawmakers to tackle, including this. So did voters share any of their feelings about redistricting being among those top priority items for the session?
Yeah, redistricting really wasn't in the top priority list when we actually asked voters what they cared about. What they cared most about was the legislature responding to the July 4th flooding. They cared about property tax reductions, and they cared about a ban on taxpayer-funded lobbying. Those three issues specifically really ran out above the rest. Redistricting was somewhere in the middle and really not as important really to, really Democratic and independent voters.
Very interesting to hear more about that. Well, once again, voters said the most important issue facing both Texas and the U.S. is political corruption and leadership. That is also coming up recently in the pitches that both James Tallarico and Colin Allred are making in their separate Senate campaigns. Is that potentially a winning issue for them, or are they just maybe paying attention to your poll results a little bit more?
Well, I don't know about the latter, but I'll say it's a winning issue among Democrats. Normally, when we ask Democratic voters what the most important issue facing the state and country is, they're usually split among a large array of issues, from gun violence and abortion to education and climate change. But Donald Trump really unifies Democratic voters in a way that no one issue can. So about a third of Democratic voters say that political corruption or leadership is the most important problem facing the country. So they're really driving that result. Importantly, for some of these Democratic Senate candidates, almost half of the most liberal voters in the electorate say that political corruption or leadership is the most important problem. So when they talk about that issue, they're really speaking to the primary electorate they're hoping to court.